Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Tell Not Show. As always, we are your hosts. We have the fabulous and wonderful Kirsha Fox, author of the Deception and Justice series. She is an homeschooling mom of four, avid reader, and gamer.
And my co-host is Julia J.K. Allen, editor, author, and author coach. She's a fantasy and horror author who loves to put magic in everything. Thank you so much for joining us. Our guest tonight is Lynda Williams, a short fiction writer based out of Calgary, Treaty 7 territory. Winner of several awards, her work engages with themes of class, feminism, and mental illness. She describes her flavor as if William Carver wrote feisty women. Welcome, Lynda.
Yay!
Lovely to be here.
Tell us a little bit about your writing journey. What has it looked like for you? Like, what got you started in writing? What does it look like for you so far?
I started out actually really young. I was kind of a precocious child, and I thought, well, I love to read, so how hard can it be to write? So I was writing stories before I could really spell properly, and I started my first novel when I was 17, and then I learned very quickly how challenging it can be. I actually took the sound advice that you must outline chapter by chapter, and that's when I learned that my process doesn't work that way. I actually need to find out why as I write. So discovery is my why for writing. So that novel got shelved, never finished, and I moved on to writing short stories.
Yeah. I find that a lot of us writers kind of get addicted in the reading, and then we jump to building our own stories from there. And I kind of love that journey that a lot of us go through.
I'm so glad that you overcame that, because a lot of us do learn in school that you must outline, and you have to turn the outlines in and get graded on them, and we have to follow the outline. And I feel a little bad, because that is a legitimate way of structuring if you need that. But so many people kind of get in their heads that they're like, oh, this isn't working for me, I must be a bad writer, or like, oh, I don't have what it takes to be a writer. But when you grow beyond it and realize that you just work differently, your process is different, and then you make something beautiful and put out into the world, and hopefully people like it, right? So yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. What genres do you write? And what draws you to them?
These days, I strictly write short stories, and I dabble a little in creative nonfiction. And we kind of touched on the reason that I write short fiction earlier. I am a pantser, and I haven't been willing to re-examine that yet. It could happen at any time. But I think sustaining the plot of a short story without knowing what's going to happen is much more feasible than sustaining a novel over a period of months or years, and you don't know what's going to happen. That the soggy middle can really bog you down in a situation like that. Whereas when you're working with a story that's, maybe 3,000 words long, you have the time to play. You can write 5 endings for it. It just, for me, even though the form is more compressed, it opens more possibilities.
Yeah, absolutely. It does. Can you explain a little bit more about your flavor, as you said, for people who aren't familiar with Raymond Carver?
Okay, so Raymond Carver was a working class writer, and that was my big interest in him, that his characters were mainly men, but they were all a little seedy. They weren't nice guys at all. He very much wrote the anti-hero. And I was jealous of these characters in the sense that I wanted to write complicated and messy women who are anti-heroines, but who didn't get dismissed the way we often do. We stereotype women if they're anything but the good woman. They can be the slut, the crazy woman,
the hysterical woman.
The hysterical woman, the evil woman, the Cruella de Vil, if you will. I didn't want that for my characters. I wanted them to have the dignity of being anti-heroines. And I felt like Raymond Carver did that really well for men. And I wanted to do that for women myself.
Okay. I can definitely see how that would lend to themes of class and feminism and mental illness as well. How do you pull those themes into your short stories?
The mental illness one, I'll start backwards, often inspires me just because I've lived with a mood disorder for my entire adult life. And there's no shaking that, right? It's chronic. And it
Right.
informs pretty much everything I do, every decision I have to make. It's just lurking. So I'm always interested in people who are dealing with that. And also just because often I see representations of mental illness that don't ring true for me. So just putting the idea out there that, you can have a mental illness and be functional, right? That can be huge. And I think it really matters for readers to see those representations. And then as far as feminism goes, I'm not sure exactly when I became a card carrying one, but I think it has to do with my degree in English Lit, because I studied so many men, and it's not that they were bad writers. I studied beautiful literature. It's just that I felt where are the women? And of course I knew the answer is, well, they weren't taught to read, they were raising babies, and birth control, that gave us some room on the literary scene. So there's always that in the back of my mind, just wanting to make up for lost time. And then what was the other theme I was
class, I think.
Class.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I grew up on a farm, right? Not fancy people. And I had this idea that literature was supposed to be elevated and, I don't know, just classier than the people I came from were. And yet I thought, I want to write about people like me because I think these people are so interesting. I love the way they talk, the way they act. I think other people would be interested in this too.
Thank you for that answer. I love that.
I love the representation and the mental health aspect as well, because like representation is so important, and with all the stigma that comes around mental health, it's like really important to highlight, like you said, people are functioning great in a lot of ways.
So for you, what is the most important part of writing?
Revision. And it's my favorite part too. I know a lot of people are kind of in love with that first draft where they feel like every word is perfect. This is a gift that was sent to me. And I don't experience that in my first drafts. I honestly feel like I'm just clawing my way towards something in the dark. So it's really challenging just to get an entire first draft together for me because I'm not following a plan. So when I have that down and I sit down to revise, that's when I feel like the work is starting to take the shape of the vision I had in my mind in the first place. So I get excited when I start to see things coming together, when a character's arc starts to happen for me. That's all just totally exciting. And that doesn't happen until second, third, fourth, however many drafts it takes.
Yeah. Not a common answer, but I think a very good one.
Absolutely. I've kind of likened writing to art to a lot of people sometimes, where you kind of begin with a sketch, and with every pass you're adding more details, a little bit of color here, a new detail here. Oh, I don't like the way the arm is. Let's move that slightly. So like it's by going over and over and over it that it takes better shape. And I know that that isn't everybody's process, but we definitely have that in common where it fills itself in as it goes.
A good quote that I like too is, good writing is rewriting, right? Because a lot of times we are just figuring out what we're doing and telling the story in the first draft. And so it can be very hobbled together, very like different random pieces here and there. Like in my rough draft I just wrote, it's like I kept changing as I was going what was happening. And so of course I'm not going to write the whole story the original way and then go through and edit it with each change. So it's like if you were to read it, it's like it makes no sense except for in my head. So yeah, I love that. Good writing is rewriting. Yeah.
Do you typically start with like a character, or like do you typically start with plot and the character grows out of that?
So my writing tends to be quite voice driven. So it's usually a character's voice, and it'll be like a line bouncing around in my head that I start with. And I'll often just start writing in my notes app based on that, just some free writing. And that's where I kind of get to know the character. And then the plot is what comes after. What needs to happen for this character. And it's, for me, the plot is very much based on what does this person want? What are they afraid of? What are they hiding?
Very good questions. Good things to know about your characters, for sure.
Yes, I love those. This is one of my favorite to ask. What are some of your favorite authors and what do you think they do best?
Lori Moore is probably my favorite short story writer. And I think she does dark humor just impeccably well. Yeah, like she'll take on some very serious topics and yet she can make them laugh out loud funny. And it's not ha ha, it's just, wow, this is dark and deep. And I aspire to that. When I'm struggling in a draft, I'll just go back to her work. The other thing I think she did, which was kind of revolutionary, was she wrote self-help, the entire collection of stories in the second person.
Oh,
which was, that was like in the 80s and just very avant-garde at the time. And I think now we all allow ourselves that one second person story in a collection, but she went for the whole thing and she did a great job of it.
Oh my gosh. And those are two things, humor, let alone dark humor, and then writing in the second person. Those are not easy feats at all to accomplish. So that's even more of a testament to how good of a writer she was. Yeah. Wow. I'll have to check them out for sure, because that sounds really interesting. Because it's like usually you only see like the second person point of view and like choose your own adventure story. So it's like, it's so great because I mean when I studied at college, like we got the privilege of like reading an essay that was in our nonfiction class that was in second person, and it was really well done. But it was like, other than that, it was just the choose your own adventure stories was my only experience with it.
And I love those books so much. Those are great.
Yeah.
So what's something that you have learned from the writing process in general?
Definitely more patience. I'm not a patient person, and I've had to cultivate some of that just through writing, because stories don't always want to reveal themselves to you as fast as you would like to move. Like, it would be great to say, well, you know, I can finish a draft in an afternoon and I'll have a perfect story by the end of the week, but that's not how it works. They kind of move in their own time. And sometimes you have to sit with them for a while, or set them aside and work on something else, or at least go take a walk and do other things, go be a person. And so all of those things have made me more patient. And I guess the other thing I would say is having compassion for my characters has probably made me a more compassionate person in general.
I love that. I always say that reading is a great way to learn empathy and practice it, right? Because you're seeing the world and their life from a whole different person's perspective, right? And so I always found reading really valuable for that, of being like, I'll never live this life, but I can see what it's like through that. So I love that you approach writing the same way.
Patience is really good advice for anyone. This takes so much more patience than you have, and yet you have to find it in yourself to do it.
Yes, dig deep for that.
If you could tell a new author one thing, what would it be?
Find your tribe.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think writing is such a solitary task that we often forget that it's important to have a sense of community, because there's so many hurdles along the way just in writing. And then if you're trying to publish, even more so, there's a lot of rejection that you're going to be dealing with. Having support from other people who understand the process is so huge, right? Because I mean, I got a rejection today. I found out my friend was longlisted for the same competition that we entered. It made me just as happy to know that as if it had been me, right? Like, yeah.
No, it is so nice because you get to celebrate wins, but also the struggle with other people who get it, that it's like, this is my favorite thing. And also the thing that makes me tear out my hair the most, that it's just like, oh my gosh, somebody who understands that it's like, all you want to do is write, but all you want to do is anything but write sometimes. Like, but they get it so well, and it just makes you feel so not alone in the struggle when you find those people. Yeah.
Right.
You need to find your own support team. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important. I don't think that you can really do this alone. Not really.
No, and well, even like the little things, like every time I publish a book, it's like there's so much time in between that I'm like messaging Kirsha, like, Kirsha, what do I do about the page color, and like all the little details of like how do I do a cover again, like what do I need to know about this, but all those little stages, because there's so much involved in the business side of authoring or getting the publishing uploaded or whatever you need to do. That's like, yeah, if you don't have someone to guide you, it can seem so daunting and overwhelming, and I know that stops some people from doing it. Yeah, so it's wonderful to have your people to support. Yeah.
Speaking of what we were thinking about just a minute ago, I'm sorry, I lost it. Anyway, how do you make time for writing?
I neglect my house.
Oh, yes.
So one thing I always admired about my mother and my grandmother is, even though they were busy women, they were both farm wives, they made time to read and write. And I noticed that neither one of them was particularly great at keeping house, but they seemed to prioritize time for themselves, to just enjoy literature, right? And I thought, this is fantastic. I am going to claim time for myself by keeping house like a man.
It's
basically
so important.
Oh, that is so valuable. Yeah. Of just like anytime you're putting yourself first and you're taking care of yourself and you're prioritizing what makes you happy, right? Not just what it should look like to the outside world, right? So valuable. Yeah. To pour into that. I love that answer. And I'm like, I feel like it's so relatable, because it's like, yeah, let's be honest. A lot of us are like, I would rather be writing or reading or doing anything than like dusting my baseboards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you just have to take a deep breath and be like, the mess will wait. It will still be there for me when I
It
get
will unfortunately still be there. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. No, I love
It
that.
is so hard. But yeah, that's a very true answer. Something has to give.
Yeah. And I love that, like I said, they set that example of prioritizing themselves and their mental health and their emotional well-being, rather than being like, my house needs to look like it came out of a magazine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there's something to be said about like the state of your house being tied to your worth as a woman, for sure. The older generations were like, it has to be immaculate or everyone's going to judge you.
Right.
And, like, yeah. So it's really hard to pull away from that and be like, no, I deserve to do something for me. I need to grow myself. I do not exist to serve everything and everyone around me.
Yeah.
For sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Such an important lesson. One I'm still learning from time to time.
I know. Oh, it's a lifelong struggle to learn all these valuable lessons, to unlearn a lot so that we can really truly learn those things. Yeah. So you have a favorite part of writing?
Now, we touched on this earlier. It is the revision, but there is that lightning bolt moment when I first get the sense of, oh, this is a story idea. This is this character's voice that I could explore. There's a little thrill that goes with that, right? And that thrill wears off actually quickly for me. When I start drafting, it almost evaporates immediately. But I really enjoyed that and the sense of everything coming together at the end.
Yes, those bolts of inspiration, or like when you're in the zone and everything's just coming together and it's blooming and you're like, yes, this is brilliant. And that's
like all the dominoes falling
Yes.
into place nicely. Before we jump to the next question, I did want to ask, like, so when you are having those bolts of inspiration, those ideas, like, what do you do to like further discover and like unravel the voice as it's coming through? Because I know you are like a discovery as you go, but like, how do you get to explore and learn the character voice?
So I will go wherever it takes me, and I will go there on the back of a napkin. It can be in a Word document. It can be in a notebook. It doesn't matter to me. It's just about chasing what this voice wants to tell me.
Yeah. Are there any like questions that you like to explore that like help you to figure out where that voice is going?
No, there is no pattern to it.
Mm.
And
That's
once,
fun. It keeps it fresh every time. Yeah.
yeah, and fresh and frustrating every time
Mm-hmm.
because it's like you're learning to write a story all over again each time. There is a point where I'm in the middle of the plot where I have to go back and think about what my character's desires are and what the stakes are for the
Mm-hmm.
story. But those questions don't come right away. I really do. I don't know. It's like a flirtation with the character where,
Yeah.
yeah, we're just sort of getting to know each other, and it's fun. I'll write dialogue often between characters to get a sense of what's going on, and it's not necessarily that the dialogue will make it into the story. It's just
Mm-hmm.
stuff I need to know for myself.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
that is fascinating.
Dialogue is a really good way to get to know your characters.
Yeah, it is literally discovering their actual voice, like how they speak and present and form their conversations, but like also what's the thought, what's the subtext, the context behind what they're saying as well. I really love writing dialogue, and I'll have like walls of just dialogue and like nothing going on around it, and have to like in editing try to desperately put stuff around
Oh,
the
I do the
words.
same.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I would probably be really good at like plays and screenwriting, but just because it's like so much dialogue, nothing else going on in my first drafts. But um, no, I love that. I also really love examining like character motivations for stuff. Like if I ever get stuck on plot points, I'm just like, well, or like what they should do next. I'm like, well, their motivations will tell you a lot, right? Why they're doing what they're doing will give you great ideas for being like, we can play with this and explore their motivations in this if we did this in the plot or something like that. So I love that you stop and always examine yourself or ask yourself like, what are the stakes, what are the motivations going on for these characters, because I think that's a great way to develop and deepen a story.
Absolutely. Okay, so that's your favorite part. What's your least favorite part?
The draft, just navigating it in the dark. And I mean, I really sound like someone who should take up plotting. I've heard of beat sheets just recently, so maybe I
Oh
need to
yeah.
explore those. Yeah, so it's just making it through the middle of the draft. I rarely know the ending. I think in my collection there's one story where I actually knew the ending, and that was the hardest one to write because I kind of raced towards this ending because, hey, I knew what was going to happen, and the pacing was off, and I had to go back and work through that. So working through the first draft is the hardest part for me and what I like least.
Yeah, yeah. Beats are kind of nice because they're just like stepping stones of being like, here's the next stepping stone that you can kind of like I said, guide your way towards. So you know that you're hitting like these beats right on the way to the end. But like there is a lot of value like in discovering as you go, because like you said, it helps you to unravel the story at a good pace and things like that. I think it's also like important that like for most people it is a spectrum, right? It's not, you don't have to be solidly one or the other. It's kind of like encompassing all. So I know that you like have your favorite author that you read that to inspire you for different things for your story. What else influences your writing when you're writing a story?
You know, that varies a lot from one story to the next. What I'm reading for sure is always influencing my voice. And I don't mean that I start imitating every writer that I read. I actually believe that you should read widely because I think your voice is shaped by coming up against the reading you do and how you're different from it. You might not. I know some people say, oh, I don't read anything else when I'm writing because I don't want it to infiltrate my voice. And I don't think that's going to happen. I believe my voice is more robust than that. So if I need inspiration, I will look in different places. But music and movies have a big impact on what I'm writing. And I'm a little obsessive about music. Like I know some people will have like a playlist when they're writing and they enjoy that. I have one song and I hit the repeat button over and over because I'll choose it sort of as the theme song for the story I'm writing. It's that the song captures the essence of what I want my story to capture.
I love that. I'm definitely a repeat watcher and listener of things. Like I have a playlist and I'll just listen to that for months, like of songs. And I get a lot of joy and comfort out of that. So I can relate definitely to that. So do you listen to words with lyrics in, or just instrumental only?
Oh, with lyrics. I
Yes, yeah.
never do instrumental.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a big lyrics person too, because I like that's my favorite part of the song is like the words and the meaning behind the song. The melody is nice, of course, and all that, but I'm like I'm a words person at heart. But I know a lot of people will get distracted, so they'll do like movie soundtracks or video game soundtracks for things like that. So I was just really curious. What so you just published a book this you released September 1st. Congratulations. What was the song that inspired that one? I'm curious.
Okay, so 14 different stories in the collection, but this first story in the collection, which is actually one I wrote like 15 years ago, was inspired by Matchbox 20's Hang.
Oh,
I think my roommates got very sick of that song.
Oh, they suffered for your art to happen, though. I'm sure it was a sacrifice they were willing to make.
Right.
Oh, I love that. Oh my God, Matchbox 20. That brings me back to high school. Yeah. Love that. All right. The next one's your favorite question, Kirsha. I'm not going to steal it from you.
What would you say has been your most significant writing victory so far?
That is actually not the publication of the book, which is surprising to me because I always thought, just publishing one book, that'll be enough. That's all I want to do. But after I signed the contract for the book, I applied for an award. It's called the Lieutenant Governor of Alberta Emerging Artist Award, and it's actually granted to all different types of artists. So whether you're a visual artist, a ballet dancer, you could be a poet or a playwright. Every other year, they award it to 10 emerging artists. And in 2024, I was lucky enough to be a recipient. And it was it was exciting and something that I didn't really think would ever happen, especially because I'm not young. I think sometimes we do equate emerging with youth.
Congratulations. What an accomplishment. I hope you're so proud. Like, what an honor, because it's not just in writing, or it's not just in short stories, or just in fiction. It's a broad encompassing field, and you were chosen out of like 10 of that's amazing. Wow, how wonderful. I'm so pleased. That sounds like a wonderful writing victory. So
Thank you.
And how validating, right?
yes. Right, put that feather in your cap and just like, how
wear it
wonderful.
everywhere.
I would have a banner that I would just like a sash, like a bride to be, just like I won this award. What now? Just walking around so proud. So, congratulations.
Have you seen my award?
Right. Just constant Facebook posts or whatever. By the way, did you remember that I won this? Yeah. No, I love that.
That's wonderful.
What a wonderful victory. Yeah, because like publishing is nice, but what a validating honor to receive. Yeah. So this one's my favorite question because I really like knowing what people love and hate. What is writing advice that you hate?
Write what you know.
Yes.
And I think it's pretty common and pretty commonly hated. And it's not that it's inherently bad to write what you know about. That's all fine and good. But to limit yourself to that, that is awful. I mean, write what you can imagine. This is, there's a whole world for you. There are other worlds for you. It just seems so disappointing to suggest to someone that this is what they should refine their reach to. No. Anything you've wondered about, anything you've witnessed, this is all grist for the mill, right?
Yeah, I think a better way of putting it is like research well, so that you can write. Yeah, other things. Yeah.
It certainly gives you a very interesting search history on your
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. When I think of some of my search history, I'm just like, oh, oof, let me never be a suspect for anything because it's going to be interesting to explain. Like, no, I swear it was for a book. But I think people are pretty commonly aware that us authors, like especially if you write horror or like crime or anything like that, you're like, we have some very interesting Google search histories under our belt. Yeah.
I'm like, where can you have a meat hook placed without killing someone completely?
Right. How do you
And then
support
I
a
learned
body?
that it was a kink, and I wish I had not Googled.
Oh, right. I bet that was some interesting things popping up for
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
yeah, I just got rid of the meat hooks altogether. That was
Oh
my
yeah.
bugbear.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Yeah.
But
Oh
yeah,
goodness.
fun stuff. Fun can be had with search histories. But absolutely, writing is a chance to grow for sure. All right. Well, where can our listeners learn more about you online?
So my website is lindawilliams.ca, and then they can find out more about the book through Amazon, Barnes and Noble. If you're in Canada, that would be Chapters and Amazon.ca.
What is it called?
It is called The Beauty and the Hell of It and Other Stories.
Yes. Oh, that's a beautiful color. I love the colors of that cover. Wonderful. Well, we want to thank you so much. It's been a wonderful conversation that we've had with you tonight. So thanks for coming on the show.
My pleasure. It's lovely to be with you.
Right. And thank you to everyone who's listening along at home. Remember, our next episode airs Friday as usual. And there's more than one way up a mountain. If you are interested in being a guest on the show, you can find us on social media at The Tellnut Show or email us at thetellnutshow@gmail.com. Thanks again for watching.
Thanks again for listening. If you enjoyed the show, consider subscribing and liking. We appreciate all the support. Julia J.K. Allen is an author, editor, and coach and can be found at hijinksrudder.com.
Kirsha Fox is an author, avid reader, gamer, and mother to four, and you can find her at kirshafox.com. Thanks and see you next time.